Hey guys, what's going on? SOS here. And before we get the video started, I just want to say please bear with me in that I'm sick and my voice went out like 15 minutes before I decided to record this video. But today we're going to be doing the Straw Hat loyalty discussion, and the character up today is our favorite skeleton, Brook. Yo ho ho ho. And we're just going to be giving a little bit about his devil fruit, his backstory, what he does in the story, and why he's loyal to Luffy. And then we're going to go over that one moment where he said Luffy will be king of the pirates. So, Brook, his character, he's 90 years old after the time skip, and before this time skip, when he joins the Straw Hat crew, he's 88 years old, and he is a skeleton, a walking bag of bones, but he still is the lovable musician of the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy wanted someone in his crew that could entertain him on his journey to become king of the pirates, and I think Brook fit that description perfectly. Like, do you not remember Being Sake? Like, that song is just amazing, and I do have to give it to the Funimation crew for doing an amazing job on that song. If you haven't heard it, look it up. It's Being Sake One Piece, and it's a really good song. But now on to Brooks's devil fruit. Brooks's devil fruit is the Yomi Yomi no Mi, which is essentially like a Dragon Ball Z revive, because it literally lets you come back to life after dying. So like when you first eat this devil fruit, you guys know how devil fruits work. You bite into it and you will lose the ability to swim, and it has no other powers at the time of you being alive, but when you die you get revived. So it's a pretty good trade-off. Like if someone told me, hey, I'm gonna take your ability to swim, but you're gonna get a second chance at life, I'd be like, okay, sign me up. I don't need to swim anyways. That's basically Brook's power. But the reason why Brook turned into a skeleton is because his soul got lost, because he was in the Florian Triangle for 50 years before it returned to his body. So I guess it like breaks the limits and boundaries of what reality is, because it can revive you as a skeleton and give your skeleton its soul back, but he still keeps his afro. It's kind of weird. Like if you don't watch One Piece, you're probably like, wait, what is he talking about again? But for those of you who watch it, you do know. And one thing I did think that was kind of weird, after the time skip, Brook actually grew like a whole nother foot. So before, I think he was like 8 feet tall, and then he went like 9 feet tall. So I guess he can still grow as a skeleton even though he's dead. But that's basically Brook's like whole devil fruit. So now on to Brook's backstory. I would say Brook has the saddest backstory in One Piece, and it's really tied up there with like O'Hara getting Buster called, Nico Robin's backstory, and then you have Nami's backstory with the whole thing with Arlong, and like those backstories are like expanded upon a lot. I really think Robin's backstory is going to be expanded upon a lot future down the series, but Nami's backstory was like expanded upon a lot when we got to Fishman Island and we actually understood what was up with Arlong and why he did the things he did. That's one thing I love about One Piece. Everything just, it ties in perfectly. But we're speaking about Brook here. So Brook, he sailed with the Lombard pirates, and they met a whale named Laboon, and Laboon like became one of their crewmates, like one of their companions. I would say like the crew's pet, if you know what I mean. And when they went to sail the Grand Line, they actually left Laboon, I call him Laboon at the bottom of Reverse Mountain. So it's Brook's goal and dream to sail back around to see Laboon, which I think the Straw Hats could do, because Roger did the same thing, and I think Luffy might have to take that same trail, or after like the One Piece is found, Brook can go back to Reverse Mountain and see Laboon. So now on to how Brook joined the Straw Hat Pirates. So at first, Brook sailed, like I said, with the Lombard pirates, and then the Lombard pirates were attacked and they were all killed. Like, imagine just having your whole crew wiped out. And I see a lot of theories that it was the Germa who poisoned the Lombard pirates, which I think it probably was the Germa who did it. And Brooks' whole crew got wiped out, and it made for one of the saddest moments in One Piece when you had Brooks' whole crew dying, and they were like, okay, before we die, we're gonna play this one more time. And then they gave us our favorite One Piece song, Being Sake, and yo ho 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 ho. Everyone who watches One Piece remembers that moment and knows that was like a really sad moment. But one thing that's kind of dark and twisted that like I've seen in Tekking's video and some other people say is Brook spent 50 years lost in the Florian Triangle with his dead crew for 50 years. So, like I said, he has the power of the Yomi Yomi no Mi, which actually let him revive. And he sat wandering the Florian Triangle, with his crew for 50 years while they were dead and he was alive just around these corpses. Like, so I guess if that was anyone else, it would probably go a little insane. Maybe Brook is a little insane. That's why he probably wants to see panties all the time. Or maybe he wants to see panties because he was stuck on a pirate ship with men for 50 years. Dead men. So maybe that's why he has the whole panty fixation. But hey, we love him for his characteristics. Now, on to the main topic of this video. Why is Brook so loyal to Luffy? Brook's loyalty and where it comes from and where his loyalty lies. So, Brook is a strange character because of how quick he got attached to Luffy. I know all the other Straw Hats got attached to Luffy really quick, but the point I'm going to bring up in the later half of the video is it seemed pretty crazy to me when I first heard it, but then I took a moment to understand and like, okay, if I was in that position too, I would take upon the same thing. So, you know that we met Brook in Thriller Bark when the Straw Hats were fighting Moria, and Brook didn't have his shadow. His shadow was actually in Ryuma at that point. So, Brook was wandering for 50 years. He had nobody. He's tried to fight Ryuma and get his shadow back multiple times so that he can leave, because he can't leave the Florian Triangle or he'll die. Moria took his shadow. He was shipped off. You guys know the whole backstory on that. But the Straw Hats pull up, see Brook, decide to get Brook's shadow back. And it wasn't Luffy who got Brook's shadow back, it was actually Zoro when Zoro defeated Ryuma. For all you who watch One Piece, you know what I mean. And then Brook worked with the Straw Hats to defeat Moria. So when I think the loyalty comes from, Brook was in a position where he had nobody, and the Straw Hats were the first to come around and actually like show him a good time and take him on, and they actually helped him like complete a goal that he's been trying to complete for the longest time, getting his shadow back so that he could actually live again. So in a way, I really feel like the Straw Hats saved his life, or Zoro and Luffy. That's why they're so loyal to him. And then the Straw Hats defeated Moria, and that's a big point as to why I think Brook is so loyal, just because the Straw Hats like basically saved his life in a way. And the whole Thriller Bark arc was just amazing, especially when it comes to Brook's character and some of the stuff that Zoro did there, like the whole Zoro sacrifice thing. Brook was one to actually see that happen. And at the end we have a little thing where like it was Frankie and Usopp who built like the memorial for the Rumbar Pirates, and Brook and Zoro were sitting there, and that's where Zoro buried his sword Yubashiri, I think, and Brook was there playing his violin and saying, "Zoro, I saw what you did, like that was amazing." And he was like, "Don't worry, I won't tell Luffy." And I think I think Robin saw it too, what Zoro did, and Sanji obviously saw what happened with Zoro, but I think Brook witnessed it firsthand, Zoro sacrifice himself for Kuma. And I think that triggered something in Brook, for Brook to say, wow, like if Zoro will go this far to do this for Luffy, Luffy must be a really great man. And then you have Brook, who sees Zoro like taking upon all the sacrifice on himself and helping out so many people. Like he killed Ryuma, well, beat Ryuma, which was a nerfed Ryuma, to get Brook's shadow back, and then he takes all this pain and sacrifice and almost gets killed for Luffy's sake. So I think Brook was like, dang, I want to be a part of something like this. So now on to the point that baffles me. So we go through Thriller Bark, and Zoro fights Ryuma, gets Brook's shadow back, Brook joins the crew, they slap Moria, all that happens, okay? Everyone's happy, Brook's on the crew, and then we get to Sabaody. And Sabaody, Brook there shows like a lot how loyal he is to the crew, trying to save multiple people from the Pacifista, and he's actually worried about his crewmates. And one thing that I thought was crazy is, you have to remember, Brook has only been on the crew for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks max, not even a month, and he already cares about them this much. And like, I think that's pretty crazy. And then the 2-year time skip happens. Brook gets sent off to whatever island, I forgot the name of it, and then he waits 2 years to go back to the crew. he only knew those people for 2 weeks. He only knew the Straw Hat Pirates for 2 weeks, but he still went back after 2 years. And the whole time during that 2 years, he was dedicated to get back to Luffy and get back to the crew. And I think that that makes Brook really loyal. It's like he really sees the crew as his family. He sees the crew as the only people he has. Like, I believe if, like, Chopper, let's take Chopper for example. If Chopper was in that position where he only joined up with the crew for like 2 weeks and they didn't go through the stuff with like Alabasta and Enies Lobby and all that, Chopper would literally just go back to Drum Island. That's how I feel. Some of you guys might disagree with me, but I feel like that's what would happen. Like, if Chopper joined the crew for only like 2 weeks, boom, he would be back there with Kureha. He would be back on Drum Island, because I don't think at that point there was enough that went on for Chopper to be that loyal to the crew. It was like, okay, yeah, they went there. They defeated Wapple. Okay, Chopper, I've known them for 2 weeks. I'm going back to Drum Island. I'm not ready for this. But Brook went back. Like, I feel like he was indebted to the Straw Hats, maybe, or that's how he felt, because he was like, dang, they saved my life. I have to go back. Luffy is someone that will be king of the pirates, and like, I know this, so I have to go back. And that's what I think is awesome about Brook. You only know some people for 2 weeks, and you don't see them for 2 years, and you're still loyal to them, and go back. And I think we all remember the moment when Brook said Luffy will become king of the pirates, and it was at, I think it was at Sabayoti. We were at Sabayoti, and Brook was performing the concert, and he was like, this will be my last show, and said, I must go join the future king of the pirates. So Luffy will become king of the pirates. And that was like a really like touching moment for me, because Brook being like in my top 3 for characters, and then on top of that, just everything that happened with Sabayoti. Sabayoti was just an amazing arc. If you haven't watched One Piece, please just binge through One Piece just to get to the Sabayoti arc. That's what I think. But that is basically all I have for Brook's character. I must say, Brook is a really amazing character. He's really loyal, like one of the most loyal Straw Hats, and he just has the saddest backstory. And I think there's like more to Brook's character. I think his character is like a way of masking his true feelings, like the way he acts and how he acts so outgoing and so lively. I think there's like a deep depression in Brook's character just because of all that he's been through. Like, you gotta remember, Brook's been alive for like 90 years. Brook's seen a lot. He's even older than Roger. He was there before Roger's time, but he didn't witness any of that. Like, he was in solitary confinement for 50 years. This man must be crazy some way. Like, and I know he plays it off as like, oh, well, you know, I'm happy, I exude all this energy, I'm a skeleton, yo ho ho ho. But I really think that there's a deep, dark depression behind his character. And I feel like Luffy is the person that like helps him cope with all that he's been through. Like, I feel like Luffy's energy and Luffy's positive energy, and like just the crew in general, really gives Brook something to live for. And I know those are pretty strong words, saying they give him something to live for, but I really think that's the case with Brook. Like, Brook, you see when he's around the Straw Hats, like, it's a different type of energy with him, because after all that he's been through and all that he's seen, and the solitary confinement that he was in for 50 years, basically like in a prison, I'm pretty sure in that state anyone would go crazy. And it's like the Straw Hats are Brook's rehabilitation, if that's even the correct word, but it's like they're healing Brook, like they fix Brook. And I feel like Brook's story is going to be touched upon a lot, because Brook's a very emotional character. He's a very sad character. He has a very interesting backstory, and I hope we do get more on it. Like, we got touch upon Sanji's more, got touch upon Nami's more, and I feel like it's going to be the same for all Straw Hats. Wano might even be Zoro's time to get touched upon more, but I do feel like we're going to circle on back to Brook and just get to know more about Brook and more about his character and more about what he went through, and like maybe we'll dive into his mental state a little bit further on in the series. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Wait, no, that's not pretty much it. There's actually one more thing that I see. I see a lot of people saying that the same thing that happened with the Rumbar Pirates is going to happen with the Straw Hat Pirates, and like Brook's going to lose the whole crew. There's even an image that I've seen, it'll probably be up here somewhere, where Brook is sitting in front of the graves of all the Straw Hats. Do you know how sad and depressing that would be for Brook if he went through the same thing that he's already been through? He already lost the run by Pirates. And if he loses a Straw Hats, I feel like he'll feel like, in a sense, that he's cursed. And then at that point, he might really not have anything to live for. And all the Straw Hats might die and end up with Brook taking his own life at the end of the series, if that were to happen. But I'm not saying that's going to happen. All the Straw Hats are probably going to live peacefully. I know it got a little dark there, but Brook is a really dark character. Like, if you really look into it and just like go back and skip all of the happy times and see what that Brook actually went through, it's pretty messed up. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for today now, guys. And before we sign off, there's just one more thing I want to go over. I want to say thank you to everyone person who supports me on Patreon, and that is my boy, whose name will be right here, Lord Gyro. Just want to say thank you, Gyro, for all your support, and thank you for subscribing to the highest tier on Patreon, which is the Eisen-sama tier. And I want to thank you for everything. You're really supportive. All of you guys are really supportive. Just want to say thank you to Gyro Zeppeli, Lord Gyro. And before we sign off, and he also did have a question, which if you are in the Eisen-sama tier, I answer a question at the end of every single video. And that question is, what are your top 5 anime outro/openings? And they are Black Clover opening 3, Black Rover, and then Black Clover opening 5, which I forget the name of. And then I would say for endings, it would be the new Sword Art Online outro or ending. That's a really good one. And then I would say Fire Force opening 1, and then it would have to be One Piece opening Hope, which is amazing. That's in the Dressrosa arc, and it's just super amazing. But once again, just want to say thank you to you, thank you for your support, and thank you for everything. See you guys in the next video. Peace.